Back in the early 80s, fighting games were all the rage, mostly thanks to Street Fighter 2. So Interplay released a parody fighting game for the Super Nintendo called Clayfighter. This game used clay puppets and stop motion animation to make the game. For the first time, this new animation style looked incredible on the Super Nintendo. Clayfighter really stood out as an interesting and fun fighter. Clayfighter became pretty popular and spawned a sequel for the N64, which was Clayfighter 63 1/3. This title is an obvious joke, as most games added 64 to the title on the console. However, a more suitable name for this game should have been Clayfighter 16 1/3, as this is more suited to the 16-bit generation than the 64. With all the raw new power from the N64, gamers really expected something great from this title, which sadly it wasn't. Clayfighter 63 1/3 was panned by critics and very quickly found its way into bargain bins in game stores across the world. To many people, this seemed to be the end of the Clayfighter series. However, they soon released this Blockbuster rental-only cart in North America, which added more characters and tweaked the gameplay mechanics to add more fun into the game. If you played Clayfighter 63 1/3, then you've pretty much played this game also. This is more of an update than anything else. If you remember when 63 1/3 was in production, they showed off the characters such as High Five, Lockjaw, Lady Liberty, Zapper and Hobocop. All of these characters were cut due to space constraints. Well, now all of these characters have made their way into Sculptors Cut, except for Hobocop, which is seemingly gone forever. Of course, with all these new characters, a few moves had to be taken away, but it's nothing drastic. There are also no more auto combos, meaning that you'll have to do everything manually. As for the game itself, it's a pretty basic 2D fighting game. There are special moves, combos, even claytalities. Claytalities are just like fatalities in Mortal Kombat, and they're all pretty funny. By taking away auto combos, the developers have made the game more difficult to play for new players. However, at the same time, they also make the game easy to play, so it balances things out. There are even some hidden characters that you have to unlock or activate with codes to play them, such as High Five, Boogerman, Earthworm Jim, and Sumo Santa. One thing I liked about this game is that each of the characters actually feels completely different, and they all have their own unique personalities and playing style. Many fighting games simply use palette swaps to bulk out the roster, so I give credit to Interplay for trying to add personality into each of the game's characters. The graphics in this game are actually pretty good. You can tell that all of the characters are clay models, and it actually looks really good. The sound also seems to fit the game and the characters perfectly, but the taunts that the characters do are actually quite hilarious. They really add a lot to this already great game. The backgrounds, however, are quite bland and dark, and most of the time, like the Dead or Alive series, the backgrounds are interactive, so expect to be smashing opponents through doors and into new rooms, or uppercutting an opponent and knocking them onto the roof to continue the battle. Clayfighter the Sculptors Cut is more of an update to Clayfighter 63 1/3 than anything else. It's much the same way as Championship Edition updated Street Fighter 2. The big surprise about this game was that it was only available for rental at Blockbuster stores in the US. I believe this game is a nice addition to the N64, which is not renowned for fighting games. However, this is where my issues begin. With the game being a Blockbuster exclusive, it meant that very few copies were ever sold. Adding to this, finding a copy complete in box is the holy grail of N64 collecting. Because of the prices online are insane, it defies logic, and this is hardly one of the hidden gems on the console. So let's start off the discussion below with your thoughts on this game. Do you think it's worth the prices it sells for, or do you think the online gaming community has sent this game to holy grail status and into a lot of hype for no reason? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time.